Okay, so here's the scenario. We have the computer with the default 3.5-inch mechanical hard drive, and we're about to clone it over to the SSD NVMe, the one that said Western Digital on there. Right here, I'm gonna start recording it from boot up all the way through, just to show you the speed difference. Also, what's going on with this hard disk. I mean, we're going through the process of the computer booting up right now. I mean, I can't show you, wish I could, but with the mic, but that sucker's spinning and spinning, making noise. For some people, this probably looks normal to them. It's like, well, yeah, the computer's starting up. I don't see that big of a difference. What's going on? I mean, what is he talking about? To me, this is already too long, and I'm already losing patience. So normally when I deal with computers that don't have an SSD, makes me want to rip my hair out, makes me want to grab the computer, take it outside, and just shoot it with a shotgun. Because you will see the night and day difference after we clone over the existing hard drive to the NVMe drive. So this is the little scenario I came up with. Like I said, the customer I was supposed to actually do this for, his funds kind of went low at the moment, so we're probably gonna do that in a month or so. So here's my little scenario. This is say a typical computer. Some kid purchased it on OfferUp. It has good specs, right? It's got a video card, it's got an i7, it's got 16 gigs of RAM, it's got a 500 gig hard drive, but it's not a 500 gigabyte SSD drive. And the kid's like, well, I know it's kind of slow. I bought it 3 years ago. I think I need another computer. It just feels extremely slow, right? And this is where I come in. I tell them, well, you know what? Let me check out your hardware. Let me see what it is that you have. And I notice, wow, you have an M.2, and we're still booting up. I mean, you have an M.2 connector. Let me see if it supports at least SATA, right? If not, we could use one of your SATA connectors also. But if we have the luxury of using a PCI Express lane, now we could start getting some pretty good speeds. I mean, look at this. This is still booting up. When you see little things turning like that, and you know, I left everything as default as possible. I didn't tweak the startup menu. Most people don't. Most computers I grab, the people don't tweak the startup, they don't tweak the services, they don't do anything. And usually this is a pretty clean install. Actually, it is a clean install, but what I'm saying is, usually when I get a computer, it's full of programs that are starting up, and we're still going and going and going. Now we got 20% disk usage. When we saw earlier, when I first came on here, we saw about 50% disk usage, and that was programs booting up regardless, grabbing information from you know, from the computer. I mean, and this is another thing, when this thing, say you're downloading something in the background like a Windows update, then you're trying to use your computer. If you ever felt that system just bogged down, if you open up your performance settings, you will notice disk usage is usually at about 100%, and it just makes you want to shoot your computer. It just does. Even now we're getting 50% disk usage. I mean, Microsoft Edge is running in the background. I don't know why. Anyways, so this is like a little scenario, right? Say for instance, my customer, you know, he doesn't want to lose his DaVinci Resolve. He doesn't want to lose his Open Office. He doesn't want to lose his video games. He has Fortnite installed, right? We go into his documents, and we go into downloads, and we go into documents itself. He has say a history paper, right? He's doing homework, and I mean, just look how long it's gonna take just to open up this document using a traditional hard drive. I mean, it's just right. I just made up a small little scenario, right? This is somebody's homework, right? He doesn't want to say he has tons of papers. Say he already had some projects from DaVinci, right? He's been working on some video editing. Maybe he's doing clips of Fortnite and uploading them to a YouTube. Say he was doing his taxes, his tax returns, right? This is all information. I don't want to back up on the USB, then stick back. It just takes longer for me to do. And it's, you know, it's not a real tax document, it's an example. So, you know, like I said, there's examples. We go into pictures, right? And say, you know, he has some pictures. He got some free music that he found that he was using in his videos. I don't know why that's in pictures regardless. It doesn't really matter. Put them in music. So, you know, in his music, he's got free, royalty free, no copyright music. And that's one thing I have encountered with a lot of younger customers is when they find, you know, no copyright material, it's like it's gold to them, and they forgot where they got it from, and they don't want to lose it. There's that. Another example, sometimes these guys define animations, right? Define free animations that they could use when they're video editing or making a small video clip for themselves. You know what I mean? These are like free, and it's like, oh, I found this is cool, I can just stick it in my video. You know what I mean? And they forget where they got it from, and they don't want to lose it, right? So I mean, that's a scenario why I always say, well, there's nothing wrong with your computer, let's just clone it, because we're gonna see what happens. And I ran this disk. I'm just gonna run the read and write. So I'm just gonna run this one. Let's see. So we're just gonna run a small benchmark right now, just to show you the speed. Now, using a SATA connection, especially SATA 3. This is a SATA 3 drive. I told you, I think in my video, I'd be surprised and happy if we got about 330 megabyte per second transfer. We're nowhere near that. Why? Because this hard drive is pretty old. I think the data on it is about 2012. And yeah, it's really slow. We're gonna see the difference when I clone this hard drive over to the NVMe drive, and it's gonna be night and day difference. And just the responsiveness, and just how everything opens up, how it'll open up those files. For some people, that's not a big problem. It's like, oh yeah, I could wait a couple of minutes, but trust me, once you go to an SSD drive, it's like night and day. You tell yourself, like, why did I even have a computer without one? And pretty soon you start buying computers, and the first thing you start asking for, well, how much RAM does the computer have, and how big is the SSD? Because you can always buy an external hard drive for storage, right? So let's get rid of that. We're gonna use Acronis True Image to clone this hard drive. Now this is a special Western Digital edition, meaning I could use this one. It's extremely simple, very easy, and if you purchase a Western Digital hard drive, we're able to use this software with no problem. It's usually a 1-to-1 with no issues, as long as we're cloning it to be used on this computer, and we're not trying to clone this drive and then take it to another computer, which it's actually not a problem. Like Mr. Moreno and I have stressed, with Windows 10, it's not that big of an issue getting one hard drive sticking it into another computer that has different hardware, because Windows 10 has a pretty good database of generic drivers that get you up and going, at least into a screen, right? So we could get a screen. I mean, just, oh my god, look how slow this is going. To at least get a screen, and then from there you could use the Windows Update tool, and it'll further go and get the latest drivers for your hardware according to whatever's out there. Sometimes it's not the latest drivers. You would have to actually go into the manufacturers and get the manufacturer's website and get the latest drivers. But so let's go to manual mode, click next. The source disk is disk 1, and that is ST, stand for the Seagate drive, which is what everything's on there, right? Serial ATA right here, right? Our destination disk. We have to wait for this sucker to take its sweet time again. But yeah, when I work on computers that don't have an SSD, it's just, even when someone brings me a computer and they just tell me, well, can you clean it out, it's been running slow, first thing I do is I'll see what kind of hardware it has inside. If it has a traditional mechanical hard drive, be it laptop or a desktop, first thing I do, I contact the customer and I tell them, look, all the cleaning in the world's not going to restore performance. It just won't. I could, disk defrag, I could run a registry cleaner, I could do temporary files cleaner, I could do all kinds of stuff. Doesn't matter. So we're gonna go to the next stage. I'm just the wizard, the next step, and it doesn't matter. This disk is on. It's still useful. Trust me. Normally, what I do is after I'll clone the drive to a solid state drive. I will empty out the existing disk, and it's a perfectly good storage disk. Now you could store, for instance, say our make-believe scenario that this customer, he could now store his videos on there. So if it's 10 gigabyte, 20 gig video, whatever, he could store it on his spare drive instead of his main drive. He could start putting his music on there, his whatever animation clips. So we're gonna do it to replace the disk on this machine, right? Again, we could use this one and it'd be fine on this option, but we're only doing it for this computer, right? And let's go through the process. I could hear this disc over here next to me. It's just buzzing along. And like I said, it still has its uses. 500 gigabytes these days, especially for gamers who also like doing video editing. 500 gigs is nothing. It really is. And to keep within the budget, sometimes for some people, I always tell them, well, let's get yourself a reasonable size solid state drive, 256 or higher, 256, 500 gigabyte range, enough to at least put Windows on it so you don't go crazy. And we're gonna go with the first option because we're actually going 500 to 500. If we were going from a bigger disk to a smaller disk, we would use option 2. But since it's 500 to 500, we're just doing as is. And we're not adjusting any partition size. We're not doing anything. Straight 500 to 500. And for instance, if you say you had a 1 terabyte hard drive but you can only afford a 256 gigabyte SSD, what you would do is you would go under the manual settings and adjust the partition size manually, shrink it, and then transfer it over to the SSD drive, matching it 256 to 256, for example, or 500 to 500. And we have everything set up now. And we're going to go with the proceed. We're locking up the C partition. We're about 15 minutes in this video. My brother says don't keep it long, but I mean, what am I supposed to do? We're on this old hard drive. Things take a while. I also like to explain, because he told me use it in a real world scenario, and this is about as real as it gets for me. I usually do this about 3 times a month, right? Especially with people telling me, well, I need a brand new laptop, I need a brand new desktop, my other one is crappy and slow, and I tell them, well, what is it that you do? Do you video game? Do you video edit? Right? And sometimes they're like, well, no, I just need something for school, and I'm sick and tired of you know, when I shut my computer down, it takes me like 10 minutes to boot up, and then it takes me, you know, a long time to launch files, to use the internet. And I'm like, okay, I know what you need. You need about a $50 to $30 to $50 fix. And I just charge them for labor, which is usually a flat fee. And then my customers are usually happy because I'm honest to them. I'm not saying, yeah, let's sit down, let's iron out a whole plan of me building you a brand new computer. You know, I could juice them all up. Yeah, we'll get you a brand new, you know, AMD Ryzen with, you know, 6 cores, or an Intel 6 cores, and all this 16 gigs of RAM, and blah blah blah. It's not gonna help him make his homework faster, unless his homework is video editing. But I always I adjust myself accordingly to my customers' needs. And I always have done that. I never try to sell them things they don't need. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But we're almost done. I don't know how long this is gonna take, so what I'm gonna probably do is stop the video here. It's not really gonna go and show me anything different. I've only got about 18 minutes left on my disk. Oh, actually no, I have 34 hours left. Oh, I can actually do a whole thing. So what else? Let's look at the task manager. Under performance, and you see this computer is actually still a very capable computer. This is a i7 7700. I don't know, when did that come out? About 2016 or something. Just, my god, everything just takes for, actually I won't be able to, I shouldn't be using any programs. I think it's about 2016, so we're going about 5-6 years. So, you know, some people in their mind will already automatically say, well, it's a little old already, I think I need a brand new computer. And I believe that's not true. And I also a strong believer of not creating unnecessary e-waste. So according to Intel and Wikichip, the i7-7700 came out in 2017, so Q1 of 2017. So we're looking at about, we're not too, come January, about 5-year-old chip, right? And people automatically hear 5 years old. Oh my god, that computer must be extremely slow. Oh, it's no good no more. It's 5 years old. I mean, look at it. It's slow. I mean, this is a clean install of Windows 10. Windows up to date. It's just so laggy. And trust me, in 2017, a lot of OEM manufacturers were still selling computers without SSDs in them. I know, because I get a lot of them that come in for repairs, and some of them, they just tell me, can you please clean it out? It's so slow, it's so laggy, it takes 5 minutes to boot. Here with the clean install, I mean, I didn't time it, but it looked like it took a solid 3 minutes for everything to actually boot up. So imagine someone from 2017 who's never done maintenance on their computer. That makes you feel like you need a brand new computer, and you don't. We're using all 2017 hardware in this computer. I believe even the 1660 graphics card in here is from 2017. Very basic motherboard. I'll be showing how the computer looks in another clip. But anyways, I will stop talking because it's gonna take 45 minutes, and obviously we don't need you guys to see 45 minutes, of a status bar and me just blabbering, just talking and talking. But I will be back when all this is complete, along with a boot up using the NVMe drive.